Arya Kane stood as a beacon of hope for humanity, a charismatic leader with an unwavering vision of a united front against the Draconis Empire. Her presence commanded respect, and her words inspired action. The scattered colonies of Earth, each living under the oppressive tribute demanded by the Draconis, began to see a glimmer of possibility in her leadership. For centuries, humans had endured the burden of subjugation, their resources drained, and their spirits suppressed. Yet, within this shared suffering, a growing discontent simmered, ready to ignite into rebellion. Kane's journey to unify the human factions was fraught with challenges. She embarked on a series of clandestine missions, reaching out to influential figures across the colonies. These initial efforts were met with skepticism and fear, as the risk of Draconis retaliation loomed large. However, Kane's determination and strategic mind slowly won over key leaders. In hidden locations far from Draconis' eyes, secret meetings began to take place. Abandoned asteroid mines, deep underground bunkers, and isolated space stations became the venues where the seeds of resistance were sown. During these gatherings, leaders, scientists, and military officials shared resources and knowledge. They brought together the fragmented pieces of human strength, pooling their expertise and capabilities. Weapons were exchanged, technological advancements discussed, and battle strategies planned. The air was thick with tension and anticipation, but also with a newfound sense of unity. Slowly but surely, the disparate groups began to coalesce into a cohesive resistance movement, driven by a shared goal of liberation. As the alliance took shape, preparations for rebellion intensified. Weapons were stockpiled in secret caches across various colonies, ready to arm the resistance fighters. Training programs were established, turning ordinary citizens into skilled combatants. Covert communication networks were developed to coordinate their efforts and ensure secrecy. These activities, though dangerous, filled the hearts of humans with hope and determination. The knowledge that they were no longer alone in their struggle, but part of a larger, united front, strengthened their resolve. The clandestine operations continued under the radar of the Draconis Empire. Every move was calculated, every action taken with the utmost care to avoid detection. The resistance fighters trained tirelessly, honing their skills and preparing for the day when they would rise against their oppressors. The sense of anticipation grew, as did the unity among the human factions. Kane's leadership had transformed disjointed pockets of resistance into a formidable force, ready to fight for their freedom. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of fear and hope. The fear of failure and retribution weighed heavily on their minds, but the hope for a future free from the Draconis tribute burned brighter. The preparations continued in earnest, as the humans steeled themselves for the rebellion that would soon be unleashed. The stage was set, the alliances formed, and the resistance ready. All that remained was to strike the first blow and begin the fight for their long-awaited liberation. The first covert operations initiated by Kane's alliance were executed with meticulous precision. Small teams of highly trained operatives infiltrated Draconis-controlled territories under the cover of darkness. Their targets were strategic: supply lines essential for the Empire's sustenance and communication networks critical for their command and control. Using advanced stealth technology and a thorough understanding of Draconis protocols, these operatives moved undetected, placing explosives and hacking into systems. The operations were swift and silent. Explosives were detonated, causing massive disruptions in supply shipments. Critical communication hubs were hacked, sending the Draconis networks into chaos. The operatives worked with clockwork precision, ensuring that each mission inflicted maximum damage while minimizing exposure. The success of these initial operations was crucial, laying the groundwork for larger and more ambitious acts of sabotage. Within the Draconis Empire, confusion and frustration began to brew. Supply shortages caused logistical nightmares, and communication blackouts crippled their ability to coordinate effectively. High-ranking officials held frantic meetings, trying to understand the cause of these disruptions. However, they failed to recognize the true extent of the human threat. Arrogance and overconfidence led them to attribute the incidents to isolated malfunctions or rogue elements, underestimating the coordinated effort behind the attacks. Draconis officials dismissed the growing resistance as a minor nuisance. Their reports to the Emperor downplayed the severity of the situation, confident that their superior technology and military power would soon restore order. This miscalculation allowed the human resistance to continue their operations with increasing boldness. The Empire's failure to take decisive action against the initial sabotage efforts gave the resistance the time and space they needed to build momentum. As the resistance grew bolder, the frequency and scale of sabotage operations increased. More supply lines were disrupted, and additional communication networks were taken down. The Draconis Empire struggled to maintain control as their infrastructure crumbled under the relentless assaults. Each successful mission boosted the confidence and morale of the resistance fighters. They saw tangible proof that their efforts were making a difference, weakening the once invincible Draconis grip on their worlds. The growing success of the operations solidified the sense of unity and shared purpose among the human factions. Resistance fighters from different colonies and backgrounds began to see themselves as part of a larger movement, united in their struggle for freedom. The camaraderie and solidarity among them grew stronger with each mission. Kane's leadership and strategic vision inspired them to continue fighting, knowing that they were part of something much bigger than themselves. The human resistance was no longer just a collection of isolated groups. They had become a cohesive and formidable force, capable of executing complex operations with precision and effectiveness. Their unity and determination were their greatest strengths, driving them forward in their quest to overthrow the Draconis Empire and reclaim their freedom. The stage was set for the next phase of their rebellion, as the momentum built and the resistance prepared for the inevitable escalation of the conflict. The 500,000th anniversary of the Draconis tribute was a somber reminder of centuries of subjugation. This milestone marked 500,000 years of human suffering, exploitation, and oppression. It was a day meant to reinforce the Draconis Empire's dominance, but instead, it became a turning point in history. Arya Kane stood before a makeshift podium, her image broadcasted across the galaxy. Her voice, steady and resolute, declared humanity's independence from the Draconis Empire. We will no longer be slaves to the Draconis. Today, we reclaim our freedom. The immediate reaction was electric. Humans across the galaxy erupted in cheers and celebrations, the weight of their shared history lifting, if only slightly, as hope took root. The Draconis Empire, on the other hand, was thrown into chaos. The Emperor and his council were stunned by the bold declaration. The Empire's propaganda machine scrambled to downplay the announcement, but the message had already spread too far and too fast. Kane's broadcast reached every human colony and allied alien race. Messages of support and solidarity poured in from across the galaxy. Old allies and new friends offered their resources and assistance. Kane's declaration had struck a chord, and the logistics of coordinating a galaxy-wide rebellion began in earnest. Secret communication channels buzzed with activity as plans were drawn and strategies discussed. Supply chains were established, and volunteers enlisted to join the fight. The sheer scale of the rebellion required meticulous planning. Kane and her advisors worked tirelessly to ensure that every faction and ally was aligned. The goal was not just to fight, but to win, and this required coordination and unity. Meanwhile, the Draconis Empire reeled from the shock. The initial disbelief quickly gave way to anger and resolve. Military leaders convened emergency meetings to plan a swift and brutal crackdown on the uprising. The Empire's confidence in its military might was unshaken. They believed that they could easily suppress the human rebellion, just as they had crushed countless other uprisings in the past. Draconis generals issued orders for immediate mobilization. Troops were dispatched to key human colonies, and warships were readied for battle. The Emperor's decree was clear: the rebellion must be crushed with overwhelming force. Draconis propaganda portrayed the human resistance as a minor nuisance, a rebellion that would be swiftly and ruthlessly extinguished. However, beneath this facade of confidence lay an undercurrent of fear. The Empire had never faced a rebellion on this scale, and the determination of the humans was unsettling. Human forces, under Kane's leadership, prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Resistance fighters fortified their positions, stockpiling weapons and supplies. Training intensified, and final strategies were put in place. The atmosphere was tense but resolute. The humans knew that the coming battles would be brutal, but they were ready. They had fought too hard and come too far to back down now. The stage was set for a galaxy-wide conflict. The Draconis Empire, with its formidable military power, faced a unified and determined human resistance. The declaration of war had sparked a fire that could not be easily extinguished. Both sides prepared for a showdown that would determine the fate of humanity and the balance of power in the galaxy. The rebellion was no longer just a dream, it was a reality, and the fight for freedom had truly begun. Human forces, under Arya Kane's strategic guidance, employed guerrilla warfare tactics with precision and effectiveness. Small, highly mobile units struck swiftly at key Draconis facilities and outposts. These hit-and-run strategies targeted supply depots, communication hubs, and military installations, crippling the Draconis infrastructure. Human fighters used their intimate knowledge of local terrain to their advantage, executing ambushes and surprise attacks that left the Draconis reeling. The challenges and risks were immense. Each mission required meticulous planning and coordination. Resistance fighters operated under the constant threat of detection and retaliation. They navigated dangerous territories, evaded patrols, and executed their attacks with precision. The success of these operations relied on speed and secrecy. Every move was calculated to maximize impact and minimize losses. Despite the risks, the determination of the human fighters never wavered. They were driven by the shared goal of freedom and the belief that their sacrifices would lead to a brighter future. Arya Kane's leadership and tactical genius became increasingly apparent as the rebellion progressed. She coordinated multiple simultaneous attacks, creating a sense of chaos and confusion within the Draconis ranks. Key battles showcased her ability to outmaneuver and outthink the Draconis military. In one instance, human forces lured a Draconis battalion into a trap by faking a retreat, only to ambush them from hidden positions. These victories, though hard-fought, began to shift the momentum in favor of the humans. The psychological impact on both sides was profound. For the humans, each victory bolstered their morale and reinforced their belief in the possibility of triumph. They saw the Draconis, once considered invincible, falter and retreat. This newfound confidence galvanized the resistance, inspiring more people to join the fight. On the Draconis side, the constant setbacks and unexpected losses sowed doubt and fear. The Empire's troops, accustomed to easy victories, were shaken by the tenacity and ingenuity of the human fighters. As the tide began to turn, the Draconis Empire struggled to maintain its grip. Superior numbers and technology were no longer enough to secure victory. The guerrilla tactics employed by the humans rendered traditional Draconis strategies ineffective. The Empire's forces found themselves spread thin, unable to anticipate or counter the unpredictable attacks. Desperation grew within the Draconis ranks. High-ranking officials faced increasing pressure to deliver results, leading to internal conflict and blame shifting. The once unified command structure of the Draconis Empire began to fracture. Military leaders argued over the best course of action, and the blame for failures was passed around. This internal strife weakened their ability to respond effectively to the human threat. The realization that their conventional tactics were failing forced the Draconis to reconsider their approach, but by then, the humans had gained significant ground. The struggle for dominance was far from over, but the humans had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with. Their innovative tactics and relentless spirit had turned the tide, creating an opportunity for true liberation. The stage was set for the next phase of the rebellion, where the balance of power would continue to shift, and the ultimate fate of the Draconis Empire would be decided. The final push for liberation was marked by a series of climactic battles. Human forces, now a well-coordinated and seasoned fighting force, launched simultaneous assaults on Earth and other core human worlds. These operations required immense bravery and precise coordination. Resistance fighters, bolstered by their earlier successes, moved with confidence and determination. They stormed Draconis strongholds, dismantling defenses and capturing key positions. Each victory was hard-won, a testament to their resilience and tactical prowess. As Draconis' control began to crumble, moments of triumph echoed across the battlefields. Human flags were raised over reclaimed territories, and the oppressive symbols of the Draconis Empire were torn down. Liberation spread like wildfire, with human forces pushing forward relentlessly. The sight of Draconis troops retreating in disarray became a common one, their once unyielding control broken by the sheer will of the human resistance. The cries of victory and the tears of joy marked these pivotal moments, forever etching them into the annals of human history. The collapse of Draconis authority was swift and decisive. Across human territories, the Empire's control disintegrated. Liberated worlds erupted in celebration, with people pouring into the streets to rejoice in their newfound freedom. The atmosphere was electric, filled with relief and hope. However, the immediate aftermath presented significant challenges. The infrastructure left behind by the Draconis was in ruins, and the scars of war were visible everywhere. Rebuilding would be a monumental task, requiring cooperation and resilience. Human leaders quickly recognized the need for a structured approach to address these challenges. Efforts to restore order began immediately. Makeshift governments were established to oversee the rebuilding process, and humanitarian aid was dispatched to the most affected areas. The priority was to ensure that basic needs were met, including food, water, and medical care. The human spirit, tested and tempered by years of resistance, now turned towards the task of reconstruction with equal fervor. Rebuilding war-torn worlds and societies was an arduous process. Cities lay in ruins, and the economy was in disarray. Yet, there was a palpable sense of determination to create a better future. Communities came together, pooling resources and labor to rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals. Engineers and architects worked tirelessly to repair infrastructure and restore essential services. It was a period of intense effort, marked by both physical and emotional rebuilding. At the heart of this reconstruction was the establishment of a new order based on freedom, cooperation, and shared governance. Human factions, once divided, now united to form a representative council that would guide the future of their society. Policies were implemented to promote equality and justice, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. The new government prioritized transparency and accountability, fostering trust among the population. Reflections on the sacrifices made during the rebellion were ever present. Memorials were erected to honor those who had fallen, and their stories were shared to inspire future generations. The collective memory of the struggle served as a reminder of the cost of freedom and the value of unity. These reflections also fueled a sense of hope and determination to build a brighter future. The road ahead was challenging, but the spirit of humanity was indomitable. With the Draconis Empire's influence shattered, humans looked towards the future with optimism. The sacrifices made had paved the way for a new era, one defined by cooperation and resilience. The journey to liberation and rebuilding had not been easy, but it had forged a stronger, more united humanity ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.